speakers. I don't see that in here.
Okay.
Or names.
You're gonna
What's the order?
Great. You're gonna turn it over to Pia, and then
The
I'll get
rest.
you the list.
All right. Here. Uh, Before I begin, I want to acknowledge the leaders that are standing behind me today and with me today. We have David Stein, the president of the Montgomery County Education Association, representing our educators in MCPS, a portion of our educators in MCPS. We have SEIU Local 500, Pia Morrison, Travis. We have representing the rest of our great MCPS team. We have members, and they are representing with their yellow today. McGeo, who represents our other government employees, our bus drivers, our nurses, our Board of Elections officials. We also have nonprofit leaders that are here who are literally part of the backbone of making sure our residents have what they need to thrive and to do well in this county in a very, very difficult time. And you're going to hear from some of them soon, but these are the folks who keep Montgomery County running. And we also have our Principals Association here, too. I'm sorry, I meant to mention that as well. They keep this county running, sustain the quality of life for our residents. And I'm really grateful that all of you are here, so thank you for being here. This is not a routine budget or budget discussion. We are at what I believe is a defining moment in who this county is and who we support and who we are going to be, and really who carries the burden when times get hard. Many of you probably know the context. The federal government, Trump administration, is dismantling the safety net that millions of Americans depend on. They've cut programs, they've destabilized agencies, they've fired federal workers, over 7,000 already here in Montgomery County, and they're choking off funding that keeps nonprofit providers like some that you're going to hear from today in the county afloat. This is healthcare, this is housing, this is food. Every community in America is feeling it, and we're feeling it really acutely here in Montgomery County. We're not insulated at all. In fact, I think we're on the front lines. Because of choices made in Washington, our neighbors, our friends, our family members have lost jobs. They've lost programs they depend on. The nonprofits who serve our most vulnerable residents are losing federal grants that they've counted on for years. So this is a moment without precedent in our lifetimes, and it's an emergency. We are literally in a state of emergency. And make no mistake, for most residents in Montgomery County, these are very hard times right now. Think about a ride-on bus driver. I know we have at least one here. I probably have more than one. In Burtonsville or anywhere in the county. She starts her shift before the sun's up. She pays $80 at the pump, drops off a child maybe, another $200 later that evening at the grocery store, works 50 hours a week, and then she still is barely covering the rent. She puts off going to the doctor because the only thing worse than the pain is the bill. For her and too many of our neighbors, it can feel impossible to make it. And right now, for too many of them, it is. Think about the caseworker at a nonprofit in Silver Spring. She's the person who sits with a veteran facing eviction. She's the person who places a medically vulnerable adult in stable housing. She earns $45,000 a year to do this important work. And every day she watches the federal grants that fund her agency disappear. Her clients need more services than ever, while she has less to give. And her employer is barely hanging on and struggling to make payroll. And now she's watching the county she serves consider a budget that would leave her agency short, well short, of what they need to keep their doors open. So these are the people we're talking about today. The workers, but also the people that they're serving, the families across Gaithersburg, Silver Spring, Rockville, Poolsville, that are sitting in their living rooms trying to figure out how to stay afloat. Many have lost a federal job this year. Others are contractors. Others are watching programs disappear. And as I said, this isn't an emergency. This is an unprecedented emergency. So we need to treat it like one. So I'm here today to outline how I think we need to approach it and what I'm going to fight for with these folks behind me in this budget. Number one, as the sign says, this is not a time for a property tax increase. Number two, we need to fund our negotiated contracts that were collectively bargained. Number three, the nonprofit providers on the front line. Yeah, that was a good applause line. I think so. I'll do it again. I'll give you another chance. We need to fund our collectively bargained contracts. They were still kind of down from the first part. It's a lot. It's heavy. It's heavy what we're going through here. Number three, we need to fund the nonprofit providers who are on the front lines, who are augmented part of county government in so many ways, who are in the front lines of this crisis. Not at 2.5%. But with what I'm going to propose, I'm proposing that we fund them at 7.5%. Now, I know you asked for 8, but I'm proposing 7.5. That'd be an increase of 5% of what the county executive sent over. I'll talk about how we're going to fund that in a moment. And four, but definitely not least, we need to fund our schools. We need to fund our schools. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to have to figure out, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, strategic reductions to meet the budget we need to meet. Because without a property tax increase, we are going to have to make some reductions. And everyone's going to have to share in that. But it's not going to be on the backs of contracts or funding the support that our folks need from nonprofits or our schools. So on the property tax increase, I cannot in good conscience ask a bus driver, a teacher in Germantown, a nonprofit caseworker in Silver Spring, someone who already lost their federal job, to now pay more in property taxes. It's just, I can't do it on everything else that they're facing. And I won't do it. So my vote on this proposed property tax increase will be no. And I want to be honest with you. We do need to make our tax system more fair and more progressive. We need to address our structural deficit over time, absolutely. And I've been working on these things for years. 6 years ago, I stood in this building in 2020 and called for state authority to tax income above $1 million at a higher rate. We didn't have that authority at that time. We have some authority now. And to use that money to fund our services that the county relies on and that people love in this county. In 2023, more recently, I stood with Delegate Polakovich Carr on the More Local Tax Relief for Working Families Act to raise rates on the highest earners and cut taxes for everyone who made over $500,000 a year. Maybe one of them calling now. So these are not new fights for me. And what I'm proposing today is a start to that progressive action. Taxing income above $500,000 at 3.3%, which state law allows us to do, instead of 3.2%, which everyone else is paying. So a family, what that would mean is a family earning $1.5 million a year would pay $500 more in taxes on their income tax. $500. If you're earning $2 million a year, you pay $1,000 more. I think that's reasonable. It's not radical. And for everyone else, your taxes won't go up at all. No property tax increase, no income tax increase. So only people making over $500,000 a year. I think that's fair. That's a start to progressivity. Now, there's a lot more work to do on restructuring our tax credits so they reach the families who actually need them instead of flowing equally to everyone regardless of need. And I'll be working on that. I am working on that and have more to say about that in the future. But right now, we need to do in this budget process over the next several weeks, we have to solve the problems that we have in front of us right now. Collective bargaining is not a courtesy that extends when times are easy. It's actually more important when times are hard. It's a right. It's the men and women that are represented by the folks that stand behind me today, SEIU, Local 500, MCEA, McGeo, police and firefighters, our principals. They sat down at a negotiating table with the county and they reached agreements in good faith. They did the work, they made compromises, and they kept up and are keeping up their end of the bargain. Their contracts are not a line on a spreadsheet, they're a promise. And a 2% uniform wage adjustment that was proposed just earlier today overrides those contracts, and that's not a budget savings, that's a broken promise. It tells every worker in this county that when money gets tight, your agreements are the first thing we're going to walk back. That's not leadership. That's not how you treat people who teach our kids, who drive our buses, who clean our buildings, and who keep the county running. This is a people budget, and you don't balance a people budget on the backs of the people doing the work.
Yes.
If you need to find savings, which we do need to find savings, we look at discretionary spending. We look at new programs. We look at unspent balances. We look at programs that aren't effective and aren't working. We look at travel budgets. We're going to do that over the next few weeks. In the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee, I asked the Department of Recreation a very direct question earlier this week. Why is your travel budget doubling in a year when we have significant challenges in our budget from over 200,000 to almost 400,000? They said, we got to get back to you. Now that's not nothing. We need to add those things up. And that's the process we're going through over the next several weeks. We go line by line through the budget, and we have the hard conversations. And there's trade-offs and consequences. But the contracts that workers bargained for in good faith are not on the table, full stop for me. Third, fund our safety net. Our nonprofit providers are on the front line right now as well. They're absorbing the blow from the federal cuts, the cruel federal cuts, and they're showing up every day for our most vulnerable residents. They need a significant increase, as they testified, to keep doing that work. 2.5%, 4%, that's not going to cut it. I'm proposing 7.5%. Now, you know this big ugly bill that the president passed and the Republicans in Congress is cutting Medicaid, food assistance, Head Start, all these programs that these nonprofits are relying on to help. One provider told us directly what the difference means on the ground. Without this increase, they'd be forced to send households back into homelessness. This is not like hyperbole. This is not saying, a threat. They're on razor-thin margins. A medically vulnerable adult, a veteran, families with children, back on the street. Multiply that across dozens of organizations serving seniors, children, survivors of domestic violence, people in mental health crisis, the unhoused, and the stakes become undeniable. They need this increase. 4% will not do it. That's not a compromise. That's people going without. And I want to say this plainly. Every dollar we save through the hard choices on the discretionary spending should go to our workers' contracts and go to our safety net. That's what we're funding, and go to our schools, which I'm going to talk about in a second. This is not a normal year. In a normal year, I would say, yeah, let's build our reserves, but we are in an emergency. You have reserves, a rainy day fund, when it's a rainy day and it's raining. We have to, it's not raining, it's storming. We have to step up. And finally, we need to fund our schools. Our educators show up every day for the children who count on them. They deserve a council that matches their commitment. The population MCPS serves has fundamentally changed. Nearly half of our students are in poverty. We have more students in poverty than DC or Baltimore has students total. We've had a 44% increase in students with special education Section 504 plans, and just from year over year. And these children are in our classrooms right now. They need us right now. So the proposed almost $60 million cut by the council president to the Board of Education's request, with no guardrails for special education, for no protection for equity programs, no guidance on what happens to these vulnerable students, that's not a school's first budget. I will not and cannot do that to our kids. That's on top of going into the contracts. Now, MCPS, just like every other agency up here, is going to have to be part of helping us fill this hole. But $60 million plus going into a 2% reduction in contracts, that's not filling a hole. That's gutting the budget. Yep. And it's going to hurt our community. So to rehash, to summarize, no property tax increase, because families can't afford it. Fund our contracts, which we can afford to do and we've committed to do. Fund our safety net organizations that are keeping our residents afloat, and appropriately fund our schools. And we do those things by making tough decisions throughout the next 6 weeks. And we're going to have to make some tough decisions. We're going to have to look at programs that were new, lapse and turnover, things that haven't been usually fully expended. And we're going to have to do all that. We're going to do it with our colleagues over the next 6 weeks through the budget process. When Washington fails the families of this county, Montgomery County doesn't pass the bill, we step up. We don't break our word to workers, we don't abandon our providers, and we don't shortchange our kids. We ask that those can do more, do a little more, so that those who are carrying too much can finally breathe. That's the county I believe in, that's the one I'm fighting for, and I'm ready to do this work alongside everyone up here today and folks out in our community. So now I want to turn it over to leaders who came to stand with me, and so you can hear from them directly about what this means. They represent the people this budget is built upon. I remind people that budgets are people. They are people-centered documents. Please listen to them. First, we're going to have Pia Morrison, the president of SEIU 500. Let's give her a round of applause.
Councilmember Will Jawando, thank you for your leadership and your partnership. You have always been a steadfast advocate for education. My name is Pia Morrison. I'm president of SEIU Local 500. I'm proud to stand here today on behalf of the incredible support staff professionals at MCPS. Support staff professionals are indeed the backbone of our school system, and far too often they are overlooked, underpaid, and often working multiple jobs to make ends meet. So our message today is simple. The County Council must fully fund our union contracts. When agreements are reached in good faith, they must be honored with real investment. Anything less sends the wrong message to the very people we rely on every single day. And let's be clear about what it takes to get there. If we want world-class public schools and strong public services, which are these people standing behind me, then we must be willing to raise the revenue to pay for them. That means asking the wealthiest in our county, those who have benefited the most, and from Donald Trump's tax cuts, to contribute a little more so we can fully fund our schools, support our workforce, and meet the needs of our communities. It also means taking a hard look at other revenue streams and making them more progressive, so working families are not the ones who are carrying the heaviest load. And finally, we're calling for the reinstatement of our family engagement specialists. These are the support professionals who connect families to schools, community resources, and break down barriers to make sure every child has a real chance to succeed. If we're serious about outcomes for students, we must be serious about investing in the people who make these outcomes possible. Fund the contracts, respect the workers, and reinstate our specialists. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And not everyone who's here is going to speak, but I want to acknowledge Shepherd's Table, who does great work serving our folks food, who's here. So I want to bring up next Reverend Kendra Smith, who runs our East County Hub for the Kingdom Care Center, who takes care of, she's going to tell you what she takes care of, but food, health care, clothing for so many in East County.
Good afternoon. My name is Kendra Smith, and I serve as the director of the East County Services Consolidation Hub, We are a food access hub proudly serving the East County residents. I'm here today to add my voice in support of Councilmember Jawando's proposal to increase the nonprofit contract funding to at least 7.5%. And I'd love to take this time to share with you why this hits so close to home for us. Every month, our hub reaches over 5,000 unique individuals. These are real people, these are real families right here in the East Montgomery County region. We connect them to fresh produce, protein, nutrient-dense foods, and critical community services and supports when they need it most. We are honored to do this work in partnership with Montgomery County, and we take this responsibility seriously. As we head into the summer, that responsibility feels even greater. Schools will be out, and many of our children, what that means for them is that the reliable meals that they count on during the school year are no longer guaranteed. I'm thrilled to share with you today that we are on track to continue serving our neighborhood mobile food distributions during the summer at Galway Elementary and Greencastle Elementary, as well as 6 other locations in the East Montgomery County region, bringing food directly into the communities where families live, where people work, where people play. That's exactly the kind of support that this targeted response investment makes possible. But to sustain that work, the funding has to reflect the reality of what it costs. The cost of food is rising. The cost of staff is rising. The cost of running an organization continues to rise. So therefore, this 7.5% increase would allow our organization to say yes more often to more families, more neighborhoods, and to more that are in need. We're grateful for the county's partnership, and we believe that this increase reflects the shared commitment to making sure no one in our community goes without. Councilmember Jawando, thank you for championing this effort, and we ask that the County Council would humbly respond to this effort positively. Together, we know that we can make sure that this summer, in every season, no family will go without food in this region. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Smith. Then we're going to hear from Lisa Blackwell Brown, who is the Secretary General, Treasurer?
General, sure. Treasurer.
I feel like you're a General. Treasurer of McGeo. Thank you.
Good afternoon, brothers, sisters, and siblings. My name is Lisa Blackwell Brown. I have the honor and privilege of being the Secretary Treasurer for Local 1994 McGeo. And I'm here today on behalf of everyone that we represent. I'm demanding that the County Council fund our contracts. Our collectively bargained for contracts are done through a process that is agreed upon by everyone who sits at that table, and we came to an agreement. It is not the right nor privilege of the County Council to ignore our agreement, and they should not. The individuals that we represent provide the critical services every single day that this county enjoys and loves to enjoy them. So to suggest that we can sit back and just allow a county council to say, no, we're going to ignore that is not okay. Not okay at all. And so the wage enhancements and the benefit enhancements in this package are not only deserved, but they are needed. In light of the rising inflation, the cost of goods and services that was just mentioned by my sister who spoke previously, people need their raises. And so, and in speaking in terms of equity, that's how this was presented, right? We have to make it equitable for everyone to get the same thing. Well, let's talk about a pension that the people that we represent do not have. We're the only local in this county that does not have a defined benefit. In this collective bargaining agreement that we agreed to with the county exec, we came to an agreement about the pension, and that finally the people we represent would have this benefit as well. So we can't look at equity in a vacuum. We must look at it holistically. And so with all of that said, we are demanding, because I'm tired of asking, we are demanding that the county council fund not our contract, but all labor agreements that were on the table this year. Thank you.
Thank you, and I really appreciate the point you made that the people, you know, the bus driver, the security guard who starts at $38,000 a year at MCPS. I think people don't know that's the starting salary of a security guard at MCPS. they need their raise. They're buying food too. They're buying gas too. And they're serving some of our most vulnerable students and people around the county. Last but not least, we're going to hear from David Stein, who is the president of Montgomery County Educators Association.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. On behalf of the Montgomery County Education Association's 14,000 educators, I want to commend Councilmember Will Jawando for his commitment to honoring our contracts and providing the funding to our school system to move forward with our community's priorities. His commitment reflects a clear understanding of what it actually takes to support students and educators at the level that our community expects and deserves. Committing to funding our schools is not just budget rhetoric. It has a real-world impact on all students and schools. It means working on class sizes for MCPS students. It means stronger special education services and the ability to recruit and retain the educators that our students rely on every day. Failing to invest in schools is short-sighted. Our county schools are one of the primary reasons our families move here. Failing to invest now is going to hurt us in the long run. But what's especially important about Councilmember Jawando's commitment is that it doesn't treat public education in isolation. It recognizes that our schools are part of a broader ecosystem. Strong schools depend on strong communities, and that means investing not just in classrooms, but in a safety net that supports families throughout Montgomery County. That's how you build a county where people want to live, work, and raise their children. It's how you maintain trust with taxpayers who expect their dollars to reflect their values. And importantly, Council members' commitment does not balance the county's budget on the backs of students, educators, and other county employees. It doesn't renege on prior commitments that the county electives have already made with us at the bargaining table. We cannot balance our budget woes on the backs of students and county employees. Councilmember Jawando is showing a real commitment to students, to educators, and to the future of this county. And just as importantly, it shows that we do not have to choose between funding education and funding essential services. We have to do both. Yeah. So I hope that the other council members will follow Councilmember Jawando's leadership and commit to funding a proven investment, our schools, our students, our educators, our families, and our county. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So I'm happy to take any questions. I just want to add and emphasize, we can do all these things. Don't believe that you can't. We're going to have to make some tough choices and reduce some things in the budget, in the operating budget, absolutely. But cutting our contracts and cutting our social services should not be at the top of that list. They shouldn't be on the list at all. Any questions? Yes.
Can you quantify the hard decisions that have to be made? Is there a number that you have to reach based on?
Yeah, so those were presented. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you asked. So I just want to make sure you're clear on what the progressive income tax does. So to raise from 3.2 to 3.3 on everyone making $500,000 or more will produce $8 million. Most of that will go to, all of that pretty much will go to raising the nonprofit funding, because it's about $800,000 per 0.5% increase in their contracts. So that would take them from 2.5 to 7.5. That's how we get to that number. And then to your point of what we're going to have to cut, there were some scenarios that were presented by council staff at our budget briefing last week. And if there's no property tax increase, we need to reach about $180 million in savings. That it was 189, but I'm taking that out because I just made you that on the millionaire's tax. But so that's what we're going to have to go through. And we're going to have to go through, there's some things that were proposed by the council president that I think we have to look at. The Green Bank funding was proposed as something that we need to look at. But again, we need to do that with colleagues over